goal. And that's really thing that was required for me during this entire trip, and as we go during the process as well. So, harnessing the power of the team is something that I learned during the corporate stage. And the third is the national. When you're executing, you have a certain set of deliverables that you wish. You have resources that you wish to use. Goal. How do you match them? How do you synchronize everything to make sure you are where you need to be?
Right. Right.
And
Absolutely.
that is the internal things. That's where I believe the corporate really played a very strong role, shaping up myself as a person.
Amazing. Okay, so when you were in Mercedes, then I guess during that time only it came, it struck you to take this journey on bike and explore the world. I mean, it's not a small thing, and we are very much intrigued. How can this couple, I mean, just on a motorbike, कैसे इन्होंने इतना 18 countries, 18 countries, traveled together? Must have met many people and crossed many borders and many visa processes, met many people. So we would like to know everything about that. Why bike? Why not car? Or why not flight or plane like that?
So it began like this. When I was really young, I used to read a lot of fairy tales. Okay. And in those fairy tales, there would always be the hero, the king, the princess, the different animals,
right,
who were the fantasy animals. There would always be these distant lands which I would read about and fantasize. Wow, magic and the real world out there. Right. There is something that's different. It exists beyond the four walls that I see in my everyday existence. So that's the starting or the foundation of the desire to see the world.
Okay.
Then came the question of how do you see this world? You had to travel.
Right.
And in order to travel, you needed to make yourself open to every experience that might come your way. And it starts with embracing the unknown.
Right.
That's where is one challenge. You have to let go of your own inhibitions. You have to let go of what you hear about the world.
Right.
You have to make sure that you trust the unknown. You trust your, you trust the road, and you trust your companion, be it your wife or be it the motorcycle.
Right.
So the desire to see the world led us to the need to travel. The question was, do we travel on 4 wheels or 2 wheels?
Yeah.
What we realized is when you're traveling in a car, all said and done, you're still living inside a capsule. It's like a little bubble you've got for yourself.
Right.
You're seeing the world pass by, but you're not at one with the world. You are still with the world. And we say we do not want that. The true experience is when you can smell, when you can taste, when you can feel every single meter of the way you're passing by. That can happen only on a motorcycle. That happens only. That's why we say travel we must. And on a motorcycle is the ultimate way to travel. Now, here the point was, how many bikes do we take? Because my wife is also a rider.
Amazing. You compliment each other very well.
Oh, trust me, I'm so lucky. And that's when we said, let's take one bike, because this means that you are together at all times.
Right.
At the same time, if there's any challenges you experience on the way, you can always back each other out. Because a journey like this, when you're traveling 18 countries, when you're doing 4 months on the road, you really have to be prepared for any kind of exigency. And that's when we say perhaps makes sense to travel together and experience the world as one. So that's how the entire thing shaped up.
Too good, man. And your bike was Bentley, right? Which bike did you use?
So we used a Ducati motorcycle.
Ducati. Okay, yes. Ducati.
And we picked up a Scrambler. To be honest with you, a Scrambler is more of a city bike,
Right.
It's not really meant for such long distance touring as we had decided.
Okay.
But my boss, that is my wife, vetoed me out because the bigger bikes were taller, and she is
Yeah.
both legs,
Right.
So she said
Right.
that it has to be the Scrambler because that's one bike I feel comfortable with. And I
Okay.
said, if you allow us to travel together on the bike, I'm okay. You just take a pick on the bike. So that's the bike got decided.
Nice. So when you both were traveling together, so you were always together, right? Like 4 5 months you were always together. So end of the day, she's your wife. So Kavi,
Yes.
is there any guys? Can you mute yourself, guys? Just a minute. Okay. So Manas, I was asking. End of the day, she's wife. So कभी ऐसा हुआ any झगड़ा or something like that, or clash of opinions or something like that?
Yes,
Anything like that? Or how?
to be honest with you,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
a trip like this, when you're traveling together, just imagine for 5 months or 4 months, you are within 2 to 3 inches away from each other, 24/7.
Exactly.
And that's not an easy thing to do. To be honest, there would be times when, you are experiencing a great deal of physical hurdles together. Like we experienced temperatures close to 50 degrees. We were in sub-zero temperatures and biking. We experienced forest fires. We experienced, various kinds of issues at the borders. We would be standing in the queues for maybe 5 hours in the border. There would be a lot of stresses and strains you go through physically as well as mentally.
True.
And those times, when you have someone right next to you, even if it's your wife, it's very easy that those small little things which you used to find cute,
Yeah.
they can be pretty crazy. They can drive you mad. So yes, this expedition, this motorbike venture, was actually a test of our relationship as well. And I think there were only 3 things that helped us come through it in one piece and stronger. That's because we said the ground rules have to be love and respect for each other, to hear the other person out, and never to give in to, to a flash of your irritation just because you are on the verge of losing it. You have to kind of hold yourself back, think through your decision, think through your reaction, and then say it. So, in fact, that is really what helped us come through it. And I'm so glad that we did.
This is exemplary, man. Too good, too good. So, Manas, during your expedition, which country did you find, most welcoming or warm, and at the same time opposite as well? Which any such experience with any country which was very scary or fearful, something like that?
We had a bunch of experiences throughout. So the trip that we did was, we put our motorcycle. So we bought our bike in India.
Okay.
We put it on a ship and we sent it to Spain in Valencia.
Oh, okay.
And from Valencia, we started riding. So we flew down to Valencia and we started riding. So Spain was the first country.
Okay.
Then we crossed Gibraltar and we entered Portugal. We traveled the entire length of Portugal, exited from the northernmost point, crossed Spain again and entered France.
Okay.
And we went through France, and we didn't go through the touristy regions of France. We went through the deep interior areas of France.
Okay.
Then we got into Switzerland, from there to Germany, went up north until Czech Republic. Then we started coming down. So it was Austria, Liechtenstein, then we entered Italy. And we did the entire loop of Italy. And after that, we said, let's get into the Eastern European countries. So we had Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, Montenegro, Albania, Macedonia, and then Greece, which was our 17th country.
Amazing.
And after Greece, so by the time we reached Greece, we had spent 3 months on the road already.
Wow.
Then we entered Turkey, and we spent 1 whole month in Turkey, did the complete loop of the country. So we were about 150 kilometers away from the Syria border. Then we went till the Georgia border. We traveled along the Black Sea, came back to Istanbul. That's where we ended the trip, and we finally put our bike on the ship, which came back to Mumbai.
Mumbai. Okay.
The entire trip, we had pretty crazy experiences. But
Mm-hmm.
the one thing that I realized is there was not a single time when we felt unwelcome,
Mm-hmm.
alien,
Mm-hmm.
or that we are totally out of our depth. And I guess the reason is that we were
Mm-hmm.
doing something that was probably a a kind of a dream or a fantasy for most people.
Right.
So
Right.
during this trip, we had three basic rules. We said
Mm-hmm.
first, we will never stay in a hotel because all
Oh,
hotels are the same.
correct. Correct.
Only with local people in the
Local.
home. You know,
Fabulous. Right.
so that
Uh-huh.
was the rule number one. Rule
Mm-hmm.
number two for us was that we will not be staying in any big cities because
Okay.
in the end of the day, all big cities are the same. They
Yeah.
don't they don't have the pulse of the nation. The pulse of the nation is in small little villages.
Small. Right. Right.
And the third was to live like a gypsy. And living like a gypsy, and we were talking about planning, which is the outcome of corporate existence.
Yeah.
For once in our life, let's not plan things too much.
Right.
So what we did was we went to a city, we
Mm-hmm.
lived with the local people, and we asked them, friends, where do you think we should go next? And
Mm-hmm.
then say, you should not go to, for example, you should not go to Delhi, but go to Agra or you go to,
Agra. Yeah.
and
Correct.
that is how, by the recommendation of the people, our
Mm-hmm.
entire trip shaped up. So
Amazing.
what we experienced was, people from all walks of life. I mean, we stayed with people who were riches,
Mm-hmm.
who actually lived in literally mansions because, and they would host travelers because
Mm-hmm.
they wanted a piece of the world into their own home. Okay.
Wow.
This
Okay.
was category one of people.
Great.
Category two were middle class people like you and
Mm-hmm.
me
Mm-hmm.
who are curious about what exists out there, and they could get a slice of the world by
Mm-hmm.
hosting strangers.
Right.
Category three were people who were really poor. We stayed with refugees as well,
Oh,
for
okay.
whom
Mm-hmm.
giving out a homestay was their
Mm-hmm.
way of earning that day's bread and butter. You know,
Right.
so it gave us a real, very very diverse experience from people
Mm-hmm.
across various strata of society. And what we experienced was amazing because imagine the days we lived.
Actually.
Right for the whole day. In the
Yeah.
evening, we meet our hosts.
Right.
Then over dinner with them, we
Mm-hmm.
open up our lives and they open up their world. You know,
Right. Right.
in this time, you get to see another alternate version of reality, which you have never seen before. And
Amazing.
imagine such realities, such alternate every day for
Mm-hmm.
100 days on the road. That's what we experience.
It's like so exciting. I'm okay, because I can totally feel that because, twice a year I also go on solo trips and I do the same thing that you all did. But you did it on a next level, man. This is hats off. This is not a small thing. And
Thank
moreover, this is about free willing, right? This is free willing. The book which describes traveling. The other thing is the journey within that. What is journey within? I mean, can you just elaborate or focus? I mean,
Yeah.
tell us about that.
So, I'm glad you use that word. So, many of our friends have seen the e-book, but I think the physical book describes it better. So, I have it, so I'll
Mhm.
explain it.
Yeah, yeah,
This is the first side, which is freewheeling,
yeah.
where actually there are the 25 stories from our ride. These are the
Right,
25 travel stories,
right,
with one picture representing each, let's say, episode which I described about.
right.
The other side of the book, if you turn it around, the
Yeah,
second cover is what I call as the journey within.
right,
So within is actually, uh, I would call it a fantasy fiction. And
right.
what it is somewhat like the Panchatantra or the Ace of Fables,
Mm-hmm.
where it talks about a gypsy traveling through a forest,
Mm-hmm.
making friends with different creatures of the forest, birds,
Oh,
animals,
okay.
trees, everybody talks. And they have interactions with this gypsy. And these are all open-ended stories, where at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the interaction, if you read between the lines, depending on your state of mind and life experiences, you will probably take home something as a moral of the story. Although I have actively tried away from uh, suggesting such a moral within its story myself. So that's the journey within, which is actually a kind of the second piece of the novella. And there are 25 short stories. I call it fables for grown-ups. So that's pretty much the way that I looked at the book.
Amazing. Manas, if you want, you can. Is there any favorite, stanza or paragraph or something like that you want to read us out? It will be great.
Sure.
Yeah. Any, I mean, both from freewheeling and with Justin within anything.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, since you asked about my childhood, the first or the first story which I call is Prologue.
Okay.
Shall I read it out to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Most of them are on mute, so yeah.
All right. Okay. So the first chapter is called Prologue, an Ancient Prayer. I was born and raised in the small town of Guwahati in the northeastern corner of India. The only world I knew back in those days was home, my little brother, and parents. It was on my 8th birthday when I got a very special gift, the illustrated book of fairy tales. Thick, heavy, and colorful. Within this book were hundreds of stories, other worlds waiting to be discovered. As an 8-year-old, it was indeed a struggle to carry it from place to place. But I was absolutely inseparable from my first book. You see, I had known all along there was magic, but now I finally got the keys to magical kingdoms. Over the next few years, each night I would make new friends, kings and princesses, gnomes and elves, fairies and unicorns, and all sorts of fantastic creatures. I knew the dragons intimately, understood giants well, and despite my fear, I studied closely the ways of sorcerers and witches who capture little children and imprison helpless people. Many a night, I jumped around in silent celebration when the evil folks were subdued by my heroes, the heroes who traveled far lands, whose adventures I knew in every detail. Together with my friends, the birds and animals and beasts from various kingdoms, I went on amazing journeys. I traveled on horseback and deciphered cryptic messages. I learned about truth and beauty and friendship and honor. But above all, I realized that the world of magic and adventure opens up only to those who seek it. Often at night, they would whisper in my dreams, magic needs to be pursued. I had just finished reading yet another beautiful story. When I looked around, the world was asleep. The stars hung low and bright, and the trees made mysterious silhouettes. It was a night of magic and beauty, and I could hold back no longer. My tiny heart beat like a drum, and I suppressed a silent shiver, but gathered my courage and made a small prayer. Someday when I grow up, I want to go on my own adventure, travel far lands, make new friends, and learn about magic and beauty. That was indeed a night of magic, because the stars had heard my secret prayer. Thus, on a bright, starry night, my wish was born. It took nearly 35 years since that magical night for my wish to come true, but I did live this fairy tale. I traveled far lands, made new friends, and learned about magic and beauty. The long road did call out to me.
Fabulous. Yeah. Trust the magic, as they say. Always trust the magic.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And I guess, the ride also kind of justified this trust, because there were moments when we were completely helpless, completely at a loss about what is to be done next. We experienced some very strange moments.
Okay.
And during those moments, always there would be somebody who came out of the blue, who would come and help us.
Help you, yeah.
And we had no idea who they were. And thereafter, we became friends. And I call them, these were the angels without wings.
Yeah,
And that's why
actually,
that magic is all around us. There are good
right.
people. No, there are angels all around us.
For his books.
Step out of our world. If
Yeah,
only we are able to go outside the four walls of our own world that we've created, then we will meet the real world. Then we will meet the real angels. And that's when
absolutely.
we experience magic and beauty.
Fabulous. Very well said, Manas. Very well
Thank you.
said.
Thank you.
Okay, so this question is out of the context. I mean, absolutely out of the context. No books, nothing. I just want to ask you about your look. If you change your formal shirt to some metal band T-shirt or something, you look like a underground metal rock band. So, is there any connection, or you like? I mean, what made this look like man bun and all this stuff? Are you in metal band or something like that?
I've always aspired
Mhm.
to be a musician.
Okay.
And since I found that I was lousy at every musical instrument, I said the next best thing I can do is keep long hair and pretend to be one. So that's one. And the second thing also is that,
Uh-huh.
somewhere inside, you feel that although you have been, although you have embraced the corporate life,
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
is another side to you as well,
Exactly.
which is the rebel within.
Right.
So, can they coexist?
Mhm.
Perhaps when you have a pony and a formal suit or a shirt, as you call it, you are probably trying to achieve that balance. And that was what I had aspired for.
Oh my God. I can imagine you are in Mercedes Benz, you are roaming with pony because there are guidelines of grooming and all the standards and everything. And actually, it's a rebel avatar of yours. That's very lovely.
Well,
Mhm.
let me share with you this story.
Mhm.
And I'm sharing because you've been in Mercedes
Yeah.
yourself. So,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
the culture so well.
Yeah. Yeah.
The story is of when I first went in for my interview at Mercedes-Benz. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
This is back in 2003, sometime around August, September.
Okay. So Chakan plant was not there, I guess.
No, this was
Yeah.
Chikli.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So now I have first met our director of corporate affairs,
Mhm.
our managing director himself,
Yeah.
and all the interviews went off fine.
Mhm.
Now it's the last stage of meeting with the HR director,
Mhm.
and his name is Mr. Malier.
Yeah.
And he is today a wonderful friend, and we are still warmly in contact with each other.
Okay.
And Malier was in those days a guy you would not trifle with easily. So
Yeah.
what happened was, I go in, I sit down. For the next 15 minutes, we played around. He would ask me questions, I would answer, and try to be politically correct at all times.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he says, "Okay, Manas, stop.
Hmm.
15 minutes. I'm pretty convinced you're the right guy for the job.
Mhm.
Now I just have one single thing to tell you.
Hmm.
This job is yours if you cut off your hair." And trust me, in
Oh.
those days, I had really long hair. It
Yeah.
would come down till way
Right.
longer.
Right.
So he says, "What do you say? You cut off your hair, this job is yours." And at that time,
Hmm.
I had to really decide what is the direction I go. Yet I didn't want to, kind of offend
Oh
him.
my God.
So all I told him is that, "Mr. Malier,
Hmm.
I'm losing hair very badly.
Hmm.
In 2 years' time, I'll be completely bald. Perhaps I should come back to you in 2 years when I have no hair on my head."
Very wise answer. Oh my God.
Luckily, that cracked him up, and he said, "Oh, dude, you're like really attached to your hair, And since
Yeah.
I had already started the ball rolling, I told him, "Well, it's the other way around, sir. Actually, my hair is attached to me." Trust me, that broke the ice so beautifully. I did get the
Yeah.
job, and I stayed there for more than 10 years. And
Yeah.
Malier became a very close friend of mine. And much later, he told me he himself had long hair when he was young.
Young.
So I was like,
Too good, man. Great. Okay, Manas, who all are your inspirations or role models that you always look up to? I mean, may it be corporate world or may it be from arts, music, or anybody that you always look up to. Yeah.
Ever since I was really young, there was one person I had admired beyond all else. and he is Leonardo da Vinci.
Okay. Okay.
And I loved Leonardo da Vinci because he was, in my opinion, the complete man. You know, he was everything that one could be. I mean, he was a musician, he was a scientist, he was the artist, he was a physician, he was an inventor, and he was literally everything that human being could be. And not just was he good at it, he was the best at it. So I always looked up to Leonardo da Vinci and said, if that person can do it, I know it is humanly possible. At least I can do is try. And you know, I think one of my most memorable moments from this entire trip was when we were traveling in Italy through the Pavia region. We actually went to a small village called Vinci, which is the birthplace of Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh my God!
And it gives me goosebumps even when I think about it now.
Actually,
I was walking the same streets that Leonardo da Vinci walked hundreds of years ago. I smelled the same air, and when I stood up on his home, you know, the rooftop, and I looked all around me and I could see the landscape. It was pretty much back in those days as well.
Right.
I almost felt like I could experience what Leonardo would be experiencing, you know. So this is one person who I feel has achieved what a human being can possibly aspire for, you know. And he has been one of my greatest, you know, aspirational figures. In terms of people or writers, I have always, you know, loved the classics, and Oscar Wilde is one of my most favorite.
Wow.
You know, and again, I think, you know, he is a genius in so many ways, you know, just in the sheer diversity of the way he writes.
Absolutely.
The beautiful way he uses words, you know, he conveys not just words, he conveys an entire dream, a vision.
Correct.
I mean, with such simple words, you know.
Right.
That's something that I wish someday I would be able to acquire at least a fraction of it.
I'm very sure you are on the right path, I guess. I mean, I can see the way your charisma is. I'm very sure. And Manas, what's next? Now you are. I mean, I don't know what are your aspirations. I mean, next these things. But you have written book. You have traveled. You have experienced a good corporate life. You have a good family. What next? What is your next book or aspiration? Or
right. Yeah. You know, I've asked myself this question quite a long time. After I came back from the trip, I took 1 year off. The natural temptation was to join back the corporate world. But I said, I need to first figure out what do I want to do? What do I want to really do? You know, instead of jumping into the first thing that comes to my mind or something that I'm already accustomed to.
Right.
And I believe that each of us truly look for is an adventure, you know. An adventure, in my opinion, and this is something that I've come to think of after a lot of introspection. A real adventure is anything that takes us out of the comfort zone.
Right.
For me, a big adventure was to step out of the comfort zone of corporate life, a secure income, you know, the world that I know of, and to step into the unknown.
Right.
But it can even be something as simple as picking up that musical instrument and teaching yourself to play something you've always wanted to. Maybe writing a piece that you always wanted to. So anything that takes us out of the comfort zone is what we truly aspire for, you know. And to be honest, this trip has made me realize three very important things. That first of all, when we are stepping out of our comfort zone, that's what we are doing when we are talking about moving towards our dream. All right. And every dream, every single dream has an expiry period, which means just like medicines, if we contemplate for too long, if we think about it for too long, then one day we'll realize the expiry period is over. And the dream has remained as a fantasy, no longer remains a dream. A dream is achievable, a fantasy is not. So the first thing I said is, whatever dreams I have, if I truly believe in them, I should go ahead and get going to achieve it. Otherwise, I should not kid myself and just say it's a fantasy. I'm not really serious about it. Dreams expire. Don't let it become a fantasy. The second point is when you are going towards your dream, it's important to have plan A and plan B, but even more important to cut the anchor. So what I mean by cutting the anchor is like this. You see, when a ship is about to set sail, unless you cut that rope, the ship will never set sail. And it's just the same with us. When we are going for a dream, something that we truly believe in, we have to take the plunge. And taking the plunge means you cannot hold on to the safety of your shore. For me, taking the plunge was when I quit my job in Oman. When I left the shores and I came back, committed to make this dream happen. You see, at that point of time, there was no way I could have turned back. I had given up everything for this.
Exactly. That situation maybe must have been, stressful also, excitement also, mix of emotions.
You know, Shantanu, I must tell you, that is the most scary part of the entire thing. The first step. When you're cutting the anchor, every single fiber in your body tells you, you're doing the wrong thing. Why are you being so stupid? You know, life is good. You know, just let it be. Someday you'll do it. And that's the someday which never comes. So you need to just be hard on yourself, switch off that switch for a while. And just cut the anchor. Take the plunge. And after that, we are not meant to drown. We will come out winners. But that plunge is what it taught me to do. And the third thing is what I learned about during the trip. So we were, I told you we were going through some very difficult situations during the ride also. There was a time when we had been caught in a storm, a thunderstorm, when we were in France. And we had to ride through literally 250 kilometers through a completely blazing thunderstorm. We were wet to the bone, and it was cyclonic wind. So literally, you had to hold on very hard because the bike was literally being thrown away,
My God. Okay.
So the next day, we were on the shores of Biarritz and thinking back to ourselves, Anu and me sitting back by the shore and looking back and saying, wow, we feel good about ourselves. We've done something really exciting. This is life. We've achieved something.
Actually, yeah.
And in that moment, there is a guy on a bicycle who comes over. And he's still a good friend. So he looks at our bike and he says, oh, you guys are from India. I've been to India, and we get chatting. And then I find out that he is from Norway and he is alone on a 10,000 kilometer long bicycle ride. All right.
Oh my God. Okay.
And yesterday, when we were struggling in the storm, he was in the same storm. He was pedaling, whereas our engines were doing our work. So I asked him, I'm like, how did you manage to overcome that storm and still reach? He says, it's very simple. I fell down many times and I got up and rode every time I fell down. Because, and he said this beautifully, because he says, it's not over until you say it's over. And that word stays with me,
Absolutely.
It's not over until we say it is over. So no matter how hard the game,
if
you don't give up, you are bound to succeed. So as I see it now, I'm sorry, it's a long answer to a short question.
No problem. I mean, please go ahead.
So now when I look back, what should be the next thing I look at? Should it be another trip around the world on my motorcycle? I say perhaps not, because that's not really a challenge. I can do it. If I have the factor of time and money with me, it can be done. So it's not really taking me out of the comfort zone. So the next adventure is something I have already stepped into now. You see, as a corporate man, I've always been scared of starting out on my own. After this trip, I got the confidence. And now I've started as an entrepreneur with my own venture.
Amazing.
I would never have done had it not been for this ride.
Yeah. Superb. Amazing, Manas. Okay, guys, you also can put in your questions, please. I mean, it's not only me who is going to ask questions to Manas. We all are here to, it should be an interactive session. You also can ask any question. You can either put in the chat box or you can directly, switch on your video and you can ask. We are all here.
So Manas, my question to you is about your book. When you said, we all, like you showed us that book is a 2-part. like it is fiction and then another is non-fiction, but your journey is what is the non-fiction. So how did you process your thoughts while writing a book, like whether the fiction part of it came before or whether the non-fiction part of it came before and you felt there's something more to say, hence the fiction part came. So I just wanted to know the thought process of what story you wished to write, or what thought process you wanted to wanted people to read about you, and how did you go about it?
Thank you. This is a very interesting question. To be honest with you, it started with the travel piece. So when I started writing, I had already been blogging during the trip, and a lot of my readers suggested that why don't you put together a book, and the idea seemed to be something that interested me. Now, because the blog also reached the top 100 blogs of the world, I had readers from various parts of the world whom I was connecting with, and they all said one thing: don't write the same thing that's in the blog. And I said, absolutely no. So the question was, what should I write about? And I said, while the blog was written on the go, every night I would sit back after the meeting with my hosts and write about that day's experience. I said, now that I come back and I look at the entire trip, I look at it as a distilled experience. And I said, when I look at a particular picture, it tells me about a moment where there was an external reality I experienced. There was my reaction to it. And in turn, it taught me something about myself. So that's really the way I looked at putting together the travel piece, which is in the form of a narrative, but more of a memoir, wherein people actually see the transformation, even in the pieces. The early pieces, which starts with Spain and Portugal, are more about experiences. How it feels to be on the handle, how it feels when the wind is on your face. How does it feel when you're smelling an alien smell? All right. The later part, towards the middle, when we are talking about France and certain other aspects, it's about the bridge between the past and present. So when you're traveling through a countryside and you smell the smell of hay and you smell the smell of the farm side, it takes me back to my younger days at home, when we had a generation of cows and dogs and cattle and fishes and all of that. So it's like a bridge between the past and the present. So that's what I tried to decipher. And towards the end, be it the turkey pieces or subsequently as we were coming home, it's more about what has the journey left within you. What are the remnants that will stay as distilled experiences? How has it changed the way you look at reality? So, for example, when we came back and we landed in Mumbai and we were coming back, the same buildings, the same person at the crossing the vendor, who would try to sell me a tinker something, I looked at him with different eyes. And that's what I tried to decipher as a change within me from the external reality that I'm experiencing. So that's how the travel pieces shaped up. At the same time, being with people for all these times, you share some things that are a part of their world, and you do it in a way that, you do it in a way that it's a very personal sharing. And at certain points of time, you learn some things about an alternate world, about an alternate reality, about a world that you've got a glimpse of, which is so profound, you want to share it with your wider audience. And yet I did not want it to be violating their privacy. So the question was, as a writer, how could I do that? How could I bridge the two? And that's when the fables came up. And I said, through these fables, if I make it as abstract experiences of animals and birds talking to each other, I can experience, and I can also share those experiences as abstractions. And people who are going through different phases of life, basis their life experience, they will actually get to see it and experience it as well. But it will not be so concrete as ki, oh, dekho, wo philosophy jha raha hai. I'm not wanting to tell them this is life and this is how it should be lived. So it's a little open-ended thing. So that's how the the fiction and the non-fiction part shaped up. And somehow, the book is itself quite it's quite a different approach, because most of the feedback I had received while I was creating the book, they said, don't mix non-fiction and fiction together. They said you should not mix the two because the readers are very different. Why are you plunging it into one? But at certain point of time, you keep aside all the great advice you receive and just go with your own heart. And my heart told me that they're complementing each other. They are two sides of the same reality. One side is the concrete experiences. Right. The second side is the abstraction. And if they're both together, that's when the reader will get to experience something and take meaning out of it. So that's how the fiction and the non-fiction shaped up. And that's how the travel part preceded the fiction part.
Hi Manas, there's a small question. Your experience sounds truly interesting. So when you decided to quit your job and go for your dream of travel, how did you manage the finances?
Great thought. I must tell you, this was my third attempt. The first attempt I made of traveling on a motorcycle was just after I passed my graduation. And I had a Hero Honda back in those days. Okay. And I took that bike and I started off. The thing is, I never realized that you need money to make a travel. So halfway down the trip, my 5,000 or 7,000 rupees exhausted. And then suddenly I realized, oh my God, I don't have any money. I cannot finish my trip. The first experience taught me I need to have money. The second experience was after I quit Mercedes, before I joined my next job. I thought, now I will do it. As I started out, I realized I ran out of time. So that was the second time I realized that not only do I need money, I also need to have time in order to achieve this bigger dream. But every time I got these hurdles, I made sure that my dream was bigger. So what happened was, the first time my dream was to make sure that I travel India during my graduation days. When I failed in that, I widened the dream to say I will travel from India to Germany. And the third time I said I will do way bigger. I will do the entire 18 countries in one loop, 4 months as a gypsy. And so I saved up for a long period of time. And I gave myself a cutoff saying, once I have this level of saving, that is the time when I will say, now let me put a stop to my savings. I've achieved my first goal. Now it's time to put into action the second goal. And that's another part which you need to be very cautious about, because this also is a slippery slope. Many a times you start saving and you never stop saving, because you say a little more and then I will do it, a little more and I will do it. So that's one other tricky part you need to be a little cautious about. So bottom line, I planned the trip with my own money, saved enough. Luckily, I had a wife who was amazing and she was equally excited about the trip, and therefore we did it together.
Super. Anybody else has any question?
Manas, so despite so what number of countries have you traveled yet till date?
So during the trip, I have traveled across 18 countries, and this was done over a period of 100 days of riding. The total trip was a little over 4 months, because at certain point of time, you have to keep in a buffer for shipping in and shipping out the bike, etc.
True.
So 18 countries, 100 days of riding. But if you ask me how many countries have I seen till now, it would be close to 40, 45 countries.
And how do you select these countries on the basis of any basis? How do you select these countries?
Wonderful question. You see, when we looked at the actual logistics of planning a drive like this, we realized that the visa process itself would take us nothing short of 6 to 8 months, because if you have to seek 18 visas and get about it in sequence, you really waste a lot of time. So we chose Europe for 2 reasons: convenience and also variety. Convenience, because with one Schengen visa, it opens your doors to at least 23 or 30 countries, so you can literally have a bunch of countries to travel through with just one visa.
Right.
And that's the reason why we said this is a zone which makes sense, you know. And also the other good part is there is a lot of variety in Europe, although people don't realize it. The north is different from the south, the east is very different from the west. So you do get to travel and experience different cultures, even though it is within one, within one confined landmass.
Great.
And great. Your journey seems pretty interesting to awesome. There's one more thing. So throughout your journey, any one of your harsh moment which finally turned into an exciting moment of yours?
Okay. Um, Let me tell you about this incidents we experienced in Turkey. So, Greece was our 17th country and Turkey was our 18th country. So by the time we left Greece, we had spent 3 months on the road. And we said we've kind of, settled down on the life of a gypsy. Bike was doing really well. And then we crossed Greece and we are entering Turkey. Now, Greece is a very easy, lazy country. It's a beautiful country, much like India. They will not worry about things too much. So even at the border, when you're exiting and getting into Turkey, there was very little security. Guys would always say bye to you, even the military and stuff. And as we are entering Turkey, you have to cross the no man's land. Now, no man's land in this border, which is the Uppsala border, is a river called Maritsa, which is a river about 200 meters wide, and there's a bridge over it. Now, imagine the situation. I leave behind lazy Greece, very, very laid back and relaxed. And as we are crossing the river, we are seeing a sea of red flags because that's Turkey's flag. And right around that, there are hundreds of military people, fully armed and militarized. So first of all, it gives you a little bit of a shaky feeling. Okay, you've already heard a lot about Turkey.
Yeah.
People ask, why are you going there? Is it really safe, etc.? And you're getting in there. As we are crossing the river, I hear the loudest explosion I've ever heard in my life. It was like a bomb going off, and that sound continues forever. And my engine was completely shaken up. We were like literally thrown off the bike. And then we realized the noise is coming from our own bike.
Oh.
So imagine at that position, you're completely taken aback. So I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with the bike. And at that point of time, I see that on my riding jacket, there are a few red dots on it. And I think these are just bugs and I'm trying to dust them off, okay? These bugs don't go off because they were laser points. What happened was,
Oh shit.
God.
Yes, so they were the guns of the Turkish military who thought we are going to blow ourselves up. Imagine a state like that, your bike is blown and you're ready to get killed. And from behind me, I hear Anu literally croaking in her voice, saying, Manas, raise your hands, they are going to kill you. And then I looked up and I see staring myself at least 5 to 8 very, very close up guns of military people. And that's a scary thought, trust me. So, I like heart pounding. I open my helmet, I open my balaclava, and I say, Assalamu alaikum, bike kaput. I tried every language I could just to explain to them that I'm not going to blow myself up, And then luckily, they kind of understand that we are okay people. They lower their guns and we push it inside. We enter Turkey. And what an amazing thought, because that's where at the border we had to spend 18 hours because the nearest town was Istanbul, which was 350 kilometers away. So the local guys from Ducati send a tow truck to pick us up. 18 hours later, we go back on the back of a tow truck. But these 18 hours were the best 18 hours of our trip. You know why? Because right from those military guys to the customs people to the cafe we were sitting in, everybody comes, they want to talk to you. They will offer you their cell phone saying, please make any call to anyone you want. They bring food for you and they make sure that you're feeling at home. And they always say, you've traveled 17 countries. Turkey is the best country you'll be in. And now the last part, when we go into the Istanbul the next morning at the workshop, and I asked my Ducati workshop manager saying, dude, I know it's very expensive because you charge people by the kilometer, roadside assistance. This must be costing me lakhs. So what is really the damage? Please tell me. And he says the same thing. You've traveled 17 countries. I want to make sure Turkey is the best for you. So this is a gift of welcome from Turkey to India. It's a free.
Oh my God.
We are making sure that you can complete this trip. So imagine, the most scary situation turns out to be the most amazing experience.
I just got goosebumps, Manas.
Yeah,
Oh my
same
God.
here, same here.
Yeah. So that's the kind of experience we achieve, that we realize that a lot of our notions are shaped by what we hear in the media, what we hear as stories from people who've never been in those places. And we've really been loved by strangers. We've seen, sunrises and sunsets. We've traveled through landscapes which will make you wonder whether you're on the earth or the moon. And we've experienced the kind of hospitality every single step of the way, that that there is truly humanity which exists in every corner of the world. If we don't see it, it's because we have never stepped out of the four corners or the four walls that we built for ourselves. And when we step out, we will realize that life is there, humanity is there, and the world is beautiful. And that's truly what the trip has taught us. The same experience holds true for Turkey. The entire 1 month that we traveled through, we felt safe, we felt welcome, we felt at home everywhere we went. That's really something that we come back with,
My goodness, that was amazing, Manas. Like,
Thank you.
Nevig, isn't it, man? Great question you asked.
Yeah, actually, yeah, Manas, there is one more question. So,
Yeah.
are all of your these experiences mentioned in your this book, Dear Journey?
Yes, a lot of them are. The Turkey experience is mentioned. I cannot, if I really have to tell you some of the experiences, it's completely crazy. So you should look at a combination of the blog and the book. So there are only 25 experiences I have shortlisted, which I have put in the book.
Okay.
And there are about maybe 35, 40 more experiences, which are very granular because they were written on the road. So this day I have the experience, tonight I'm writing it.
Right.
So in the blog, which is dostionwheels.com, you will get more experiences that you will be able to see about our life on the road as it happened on that day.
Amazing.
Yeah, I tried finding your book, purchasing your book from Amazon, but Amazon shows the book is out of stock. So where can I find one?
All right. I think Shantanu, maybe you will be able to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crossword.
Once again, Nevik, you can find a book. It is there on Amazon right now because of this COVID. We had taken it out for some time. It's there. Also, we are giving free book at the end of this session, so you can go and download the ebook. Otherwise, you can always find the book
Oh my
on
God.
crossword.in.
That's amazing.
Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you, Rinki.
I just want to make sure that more of us can live these experiences, or I can share the experiences with more people. So until tomorrow afternoon, you can download the ebook for free. And I would really love it if you take a little time to read it and let me know what you think of it.
Certainly. I mean, for sure, no doubt. Because this whole 1 hour, it's like eye opener, inspirational, and everybody. At least I'm telling my experience. I'm very pumped up here right now, and it's amazing. Okay.
No, the session was amazing. The session was amazing. Found a lot of useful information and was a bit inspiring.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neville.
Really honored.
Nevik, I have added the link where you can go and download the ebook from. But still, if you want to have the physical copy, you can order that as well. As Manas said, please read and review it so that we know what you think about the book and Manas's.
Certainly.
Manas, by any chance, is it possible? Can I get a signed copy from your book?
Absolutely, yes.
Of your book?
So it would be an honor indeed. My email address is Manas, Manas, Dewan, Dewan, that's my second name, @gmail.com. So just drop me a note and I will send you a signed copy myself. Thank you. It's really an honor.
Great. Anybody else has any questions? Yeah, Nevik. Yeah. Please continue.
No. I was just thanking him for his great
Okay.
gesture.
Yeah, that
Thank
is
you.
very sweet of Manas. Thanks. Manas, my last question of this session to you: what do you want to remembered for?
My goodness. You said the toughest one for the last. You know, okay, let me just put it this way. I think each of us are the center of our own universe. In our own mind, the whole world exists because I perceive it. And during this trip and over the last certain amount of time, I've come to realize that I am but a small, tiny speck in this entire universe. And really speaking, whether I live or die, whether I make any contribution or not, in the longer span of things, I'm immaterial. So if you ask me, what would I like to be remembered for? Just as a guy who tried the best he could to live a life that he felt was livable. And I just want to make sure that I don't die with regrets. What I think is that when we look back at our life, the only thing we regret are the experiences or the things that we did not try.
Exactly.
So the only thing that I want to be remembered for, if at all, is as a person who tried to do what he felt he could do. Even if he failed, at least he tried. And that's good enough for me.
Yeah, it's fabulous. Great. Thank you so much, Manas. It was really amazing, meeting you, talking with you, and getting inspired and knowing your experiences. And yeah, thank you so much, Rinki, for making this possible. And guys, please do read, use this link,
Thank you.
read this book by Mr. Manas Dewan. And
So,
yeah,
Shantanu and Rinki, thank you so much for managing this, for making this happen. And to all the friends who've taken time out to join us today, I would only say that, there's a saying that the biggest gift anyone can give is the gift of time.
Yeah.
And to everybody who are here today, I would like to thank you for giving this great gift of time. And not just time, you've given me the gift of attention as well. So most honored, really thankful for your time. And I do hope that, you pursue your own dear journeys, and hope I would live to hear and know more about it too.
Great, very well said, Manas. Thank you so much.
Amazing.
Amazing. Thank you, Manas.
Thank
See you soon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shantanu.
Thanks, Rinki.